The Citadel has a new business model, but could that be a business model that would also be perfect for Stargate? Welcome to Sidetrack, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So what is this business? So a lot of people have done a couple of videos recently actually saying that Amazon is awful. Jennifer Salke is awful. And, everything they touch is rubbish. Now, that just isn't true. But a lot of them are actually using the Citadel as an example of why Amazon keeps failing. That this $250 million TV series was a complete flop. The problem is, that's not true. Fair enough, it didn't do very well in the United States, but internationally, it did very, very well. Thank you very much. Particularly in India. This show did very well. And that is pushing Amazon Prime's international growth, something it's very, very interested in doing. Now, at the moment, we're seeing a bunch of strikes over at Hollywood, strikes that we need to 100% get behind because we want Hollywood to stay relevant, but we also want these actors and these writers to get a deal that is really, really fair. Please go and support the actors you love, the writers you love, the producers, etc., because the TV shows that you love really are at risk right now. So please go and give them your support. But what is this international business model that the Citadel TV show is taking on? Well, the idea basically is that you've got the core TV show, the Citadel TV show that's based kind of in the West. But then, because this is a spy network that has offices all over the world, you can then have TV shows that are set all over the world. Think about how CSI had CSI Vegas, CSI Miami, CSI New York. Now put that on a worldwide stage. You could have Citadel Delhi, Citadel Melbourne, Citadel London, etc. TV shows that are set internationally, but most importantly, within the same universe. So that these TV shows could actually influence each other. They could actually affect each other and actually create a much wider universe. But as well, create TV shows specifically for the audiences they're in. Now, I spoke about this on a live the other day, and most people actually did virtually immediately say, look, this is a great idea, but they have to speak English. The shows must be in English. And I actually think widely they will be. There are a lot of people in China that speak English. There's a lot of people in India that speak English. English is pretty much the most spoken language on the planet. But it would also be really brilliant for these shows to have their native tongues in as well. That, they actually speak to each other in their native language, but speak in English when it makes sense to. I'm thinking a little bit like Firefly, how they would flip between the two. If done cleverly, we could still watch it in the West. Okay, some bits might have to be subtitled. I don't really like reading my television, but if the TV shows were done to a high enough standard, I'd watch them. So why is this happening right now? Well, Hollywood isn't the, main kingpin of the entertainment business anymore. Bollywood has been probably wealthier than Hollywood for quite a long time. China has a reasonably good studio business, even though there is a law that basically says you can't do anything that embarrasses the government of China. So, limited. Golden Harvest used to make amazing movies coming out of Hong Kong, and I'm afraid that doesn't happen anymore. Now, Jenny Stiven was actually talking about this on a Dial the Gate video a couple of days ago. She was actually talking about a really amazing production center in Nigeria, where actually they do speak English, and they are producing some really incredible TV shows. Netflix has actually been really promoting this idea for ages by putting TV shows from around the world internationally onto Netflix, South Korea, etc., etc. Netflix have actually recently invested massively into South Korea and trying to bring 6 brand new TV shows through. So this really isn't a new plan by Amazon, but by doing this international Citadel, that is a little bit different and brave. Now, I spoke to somebody that I know works in and around advertising. They actually work around development. So his job basically is to develop new markets for certain projects. Now, he said that think about the car industry. Now, Give me a minute. I am going somewhere with this. But he basically was arguing that BMW, Mercedes, Ford, etc., have been desperately trying to break into the Indian and Chinese markets. Now, they've been able to do that to a degree over the last few years, basically because their product was always superior. BMW builds a better product than any Chinese or Indian manufacturer possibly could. Their cars are just better. Now, Hollywood has been producing movies and television that was just better than anything Bollywood, China, anywhere else in the world could produce. But the gap is shrinking. In the car industry, suddenly Chinese manufacturers are building cars that are nearly as good, some case just as good, but they're building them cheaper. All of a sudden, the gap between the Western companies and what they're doing in India, China, etc., has shrunk. And all of a sudden, the product isn't better. Hollywood has this issue that they are just producing television and movies now around the world that are just as good in quality as anything they can do in Hollywood. So very quickly, Hollywood is becoming irrelevant. Just like the Western car manufacturers are struggling to get into these new markets of China, India, etc., really the entire world, so is Hollywood. The rest of the world has a disposable income that they just didn't have before. They have broadband, they have cinemas, they have everything that we take for granted in the West. We're desperately trying to push into these new markets and we're struggling. This Amazon Citadel model is really that personified. This is them desperately trying to get into those markets by using those markets. And they already have a way in. In a recent video, I told you about how Amazon has its studio headquarters at Culver Studios, but they don't actually own the buildings. The buildings were constructed for them specially by the owners. They actually have a couple of studios there now as well. The owners are the Hackman Group. Now, 10 or 15 years ago, the Hackman Group was unknown in the entertainment business, but now they're one of the largest independent owners of studios in the world. They produce already content for almost every studio on the planet. The Hackman Group are enormous, and Amazon are already in bed with them. But why do I talk about this in relation to Stargate? Well, it seems to me that Stargate is actually another TV show, a little bit like The Citadel, that is perfectly placed to take advantage of the same thing. Basically, you would have the Stargate TV show, because there's only one Stargate. Okay, we can only have one Stargate on the planet. You can't have more than one. So the franchise would center around that base, wherever the Stargate is now. That's where the main show would be. But the Russians have a BC 304. They probably have a 305 or 306 by now. The Chinese had one. Who else would have one? You could easily, very easily, have a BC 306 TV show based aboard the Starship, but it's a Chinese Starship or an Indian Starship. They have a space program. Or you could have a TV show that's actually set wherever the Stargate base is now. It's not necessarily still in America. We don't know that. It could be on a neutral site somewhere on the planet. It could be at the Alpha site. It could be based on the moon or something. We don't know. But it could be a TV show that's just based around the first SG Indian team. We don't know. There are so many possibilities for Stargate because it is an international TV show. It is supposed to be the entire world together. So it would be very easy to get Stargate International. We could then get a lot more Stargate, though, because think about it. It would be Indian production companies making the show, producing the show, everything. It would potentially influence and still, be part of the wider universe. But we could get more of the Stargate, hopefully at the same sort of quality level, because those shows could be filming in conjunction with these. Budgets don't matter because the budgets would be separated. The show would be primarily made for the market it was produced in, but hopefully with enough English, with enough, again, high quality, etc., that it would still be really interesting for us. They could have crossover episodes very, very easily. A team from India, again, that the main show is set in India, based in India, blah, blah, blah. could come to California and go on a mission or whatever. I would also then think that the movies that we think we're also going to get could then act as focal points for all these TV series. All of these different TV series building up to a movie, say, every 3 years or so. There are so many different possibilities that I think as a creator, you would just salivate at it. You would just be desperate to get stuck in. But there is a risk, and I think there is a problem with this, that actually it could become too big. You would have to have somebody somewhere that was making sure all of this still made sense, that all of the universe still lined up, that canon wasn't messed with, that a creator in indie didn't go on off a completely different tangent. There would have to be Stargate's version of Kevin Feige. There would have to be somebody that was keeping all of this in line. And I'm just hoping that if Amazon are thinking along these lines, which they might be, we've heard rumors for a long time now that they want Stargate to be really a tentpole project. They want to maybe do like a Marvel style big universe franchise with Stargate. Then doing it internationally is a very easy, cost effective, and quite exciting way to do it. But I'd love to know what you think, because this idea could be very, very controversial. And I have to say again that this idea basically is Jenny Stiven's idea. She spoke about this on Dialogate. I've never heard of this sort of theory before. It's a brilliant idea, and I give her maximum credit for it. I'd love to know, though, what you think as well. As I say, this could be controversial. I'd love to know. So get into the comments. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/SciTrek where you get to see most of our new videos first. And for a small contribution each month that really supports the channel, you get to see it without the adverts. And you get a free gift after 3 months. Everyone's a winner. As always, please stay safe and I'll see you next time.